Why do you think the Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni fought with Hassan Omar, the Eyala Member of Parliament? That is what I want to explain in this podcast. 2 days ago, that was last week, I think not 2 days, I think it was like 4 days ago, last week, there was a crisis meeting that was convened at Raila Odinga's Capitol Hill office. And that was a meeting attended by Azimio la Umoja coalition leaders. That was a meeting where the members of Azimio that are part of bipartisan talks were doing post-mortem about the progress of those talks. And it came out clearly after Kalonzo, Jeremiah Kioni, Martha Karua and Raila Odinga team met that there were some disagreements. While Jeremiah Kioni and Martha Karua wanted Azimio la Umoja to stop the talks with immediate effect as a way of protesting against the high prices of fuel, Kalonzo Musyoka and Raila Odinga stood firm, and even after announcing that they were going to make a major announcement, they did not cede to those calls by a section of Kamwene. Kamwene is the Karua and Kioni team. They have formed a movement of Kikuyus that are neither in Azimio or Kenya Kwanza, that are from Mount Kenya and are not in government. And they wanted the talks to stall by them, to stop. But I think out of majority, or Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka, their position reigned, and contrary to Karua and Kioni's push, they gave a press briefing and just gave Ruto the D and all other statements, but the Azimio did not pull out of the talks. So, and that press briefing was done. And so 2 days later, there was another meeting by now the Kamwene team. The Kamwene team then met at Jubilee offices, and they made a press briefing saying that Kenyans were left alone. And there have been questions of why did they call a parallel press briefing after the one by Azimio leadership? And of course, I want you to get a soundbite from what they said, because Jeremiah Kioni said that Kenyans were on their own and the talks were not going to yield any fruit. In fact, he spoke in that press briefing and said that if he was Raila Odinga, he would walk out of those talks. He needed to get that soundbite here.
We are talking about the KK regime. They have shown Kenyans that Kenyans are on their own, and we are reminding Kenyans we are not helpless.
So there is a feeling that we are going nowhere, I can tell you. And it is upon KK to prove us wrong. If I was the leader of Azimio, I want to tell you, I will not be walking to those talks.
Kindly be woke, so that if...
Now, those statements came from Jeremiah Kioni. Today, or rather not today, that is on Thursday, there was another meeting. Technical committee was giving a report, and of course working on, because they're supposed to, I think, start the next process on Friday. And Azimio la Umoja had brought in some injunction at the technical committee. Remember, the talks is structured in 3 tier. There is technical committee that Azimio side is led by Jeremiah Kioni, and then there is negotiation team, which is led by Kalonzo on Azimio side and Kimani Chunga the other side of Kenya Kwanza. And then there is the secretariat. Secretariat is largely not spoken about. I think that's where Obasanjo sits. So, Azimio had demanded at the level of that technical committee that the finance bill be suspended, implementation of the finance bill be suspended as the talks continue. And they could not agree on that. And today, actually, there were reports that they did not make significant progress as far as those talks were concerned. Now, towards the tail end of those talks, because they only met for 2 hours, I still don't understand, but according to the report, is that Jeremiah Kioni and a member of parliament. Now, these two leaders, one is the vice chair of UDA party, Hassan Omar, and Jeremiah Kioni is the secretary general of Jubilee party. Yes, the Jubilee party. I think he's the leader of the Jubilee party. So they clashed, and I still wonder how they crossed paths, because one is a member of the negotiation team, that is Hassan Omar, and Jeremiah Kioni is leading the technical team. So they clashed, and allegedly Hassan Omar was not happy by the earlier utterances by Jeremiah Kioni, the utterances that I've just showed you, the ones that I was just showing in those videos, that he was not happy that despite the fact that Jeremiah Kioni is a member of the Bomas talks, but the utterances he made outside there are not very conducive. And so, when Jeremiah Kioni was called by the nation team, he clarified that the senator, the former Mombasa senator, even demystified, alidharau Jubilee party, and even asked them that they should not be in that talks because they did not bring anything on table. There was a phone call interview that Jeremiah Kioni was getting. I think I wanted to get what he's told the nation team here.
He has no respect for Jubilee and also for Kikuyus, even the Kikuyus in Jubilee. That you can put here.
Okay, but he has no respect.
And he has no respect for Jubilee, and even for Kikuyus in Jubilee.
Yes.
And he believes we should not be sitting there. Yes.
Allow me to point out something here. I'm seeing some political hypocrisy, because why would Hassan Omar have an issue with what Jeremiah Kioni said? While some time back, I remember the Ndindi Nyoro, who is a member of Kenya Kwanza, went and even said that the first agenda on the talks should be to stop those talks. So, of course, let's assume that Hassan Omar so really wants the talks to succeed, but is it only in order to talk down, to attack Jeremiah Kioni because of what Jeremiah Kioni said, while when Ndindi Nyoro spoke about the bid to end those talks, he did not react? This is what Ndindi Nyoro said, and I really expect that if he was the moral police for the talks, he needed to have spoken even about the Ndindi Nyoro statement.
Hii mazungumzo mimi naona ile wakati mwingine wanakutana, ile agenda wataweka namba 1 katika hiyo mazungumzo. Hiyo agenda ikue ya kutamatisha hiyo mazungumzo. Ile maneno yote wanafanya hapo katika mazungumzo, maneno ya IEBC iko kwa katiba.
Now, that's what Ndindi Nyoro said. So I expect that Hassan Omar in equal measure, and that's why I saw some double speak. However, there is something I see about Kalonzo Musyoka. The other members of Azimio there have been complaining about the slow start, but Kalonzo is oozing a lot of optimism, and is saying in this tweet, "I am impressed with the level of public optimism and engagement the National Dialogue Committee process has received since we started the bipartisan talks at the Bomas of Kenya. This afternoon we received the report from the technical team ahead of the start of public engagement tomorrow, that is Friday. I'm confident in the people's voice and their recommendations." So Kalonzo is oozing a lot of optimism that everything is fine, but besides all that, people are fighting. Clearly, there is something happening about these bipartisan talks, and this is what is going on here. While Raila Odinga and William Ruto might be talking behind the scene on the success of this, but it has been infiltrated. And in fact, over the fight between Kioni and the son Omar is just a fact that Kamwene is trying to build a third force off from Kenya Kwanza and Azimio la Umoja, and I will support. If Kamwene can bring together Kikuyu leaders who are neither in Azimio or Kenya Kwanza, and they bring a third force, it will actually be good. Because I want you to imagine a situation where there is some ceasefire between William Ruto and Raila Odinga, and no one then comes out to tell Ruto this is wrong. While Ruto has actually said, the president has said, pressure me so that I can deliver. And so Kamwene is trying to build a third force, is trying to come up with a third force, and probably this does not sit pretty well with some political bigwigs. However, there were partisan talks. I tend to see that it has been infiltrated by two forces. Number one is some forces to scuttle it. There is a camp that has emerged that we want to scuttle it. And the camp that is scuttling it, that's camp one. Camp two is a camp that is already believed it has already been scuttled, so as we are just here to pay the Ruto script, to play Ruto script, or maybe to collect allowances and per diem and those things, and the money, the kind of money we are receiving. So there are those who are seated there, and maybe the Kalonzos know very well that it's going to be hard, it's not going to, you're not going to crush it easy, but we have to sit here because you're gobbling, some funds. So but some talks, I think we need to listen to what Jeremiah Kioni is saying. Before all that comes out to play, we might have to realize that maybe there's a mistake. Number three, UDA is still undermining Jubilee Party because the two are Jubilee leaders. So if Hassan has an issue with the Kioni, it seems a Jubilee UDA affair. UDA still undermines the Jubilee wing that Jeremiah Kioni is representing. However, I wish we need to listen to what Jeremiah Kioni is saying. In the fullness of time, might have to agree. Might be saying it out of making Kamwene be strong and be bolder, but in real sense, some cards are hidden behind under the table. Unless Raila and Ruto knows something that me and Kioni and you, we don't know. Thank you.